Hi, welcome to TheatreCast, presented by the EdReach Network, giving educators a voice, a big voice. You've reached episode number 63, being presented on September 12th, 2014. Joining me this week is kind of a cool tie-in, interesting how the theater world works. And Life Works is earlier in the spring we had Darren J. Butler join us, and he directs the Miracle Worker at Helen Keller's birthplace in Tuscumbia, Alabama, and I ended up working a Google training thing in Alabama. So on my way back home, my son and I stopped, and it was the last night. I think it was the last night, or close to the last night, maybe one night away. It was the last weekend of the Miracle Worker being presented during the summer, which, let me tell you, it's just a huge, so many cars, so many people, and just so neat to be so close, well, like, what, 20, 30 feet away from where all these events occurred.
That's right.
Um, I guess about, 100, a little bit more than 100 or so years ago. um, and So that's Darren and I got to meet in person. My son had a great time hanging out with all the kids in the show. I have some very fun pictures I'll share with you after the show. See one of the
Okay.
pictures taken with the cast. um, and he had a great time and a lot of fun with them. And it was really neat to see the performance there, so close to that. And so Darren is joining us from the Helen Keller birthplace, which is called Ivy Green, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
And he's got a whole different group of people there. They are holding a camp this week, and I'm going to turn it over to you to let you tell us about what's happening there right now.
Well, thank you, Nick. And as we talked in the spring about the Miracle Worker, what is fascinating about this play is that it literally ties people from all over the world together. Because we are very proud that Helen Keller was a native of Alabama. We call her a citizen of the United States, but she was also a citizen of the world. And people all over the world claim her as their own. And people come here from all over the world to visit the birthplace where the miracle actually happened. So 2 years ago, the idea was hatched to do a camp called Camp Courage to bring boys and girls together that have special needs to come and learn about Helen Keller, to have the ultimate Helen Keller experience. And so I'm going to let Mike McMacken, who has been a board member of the foundation board here at the birthplace for many, many years, who's been instrumental in getting William Gibson to come visit here, which we talked about in our cast last time. And he has been the driving force, along with Sue Kilton, who is the executive director here, to make change happen here and do great things in the birthplace of Helen Keller. So I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about the camp and the history of the camp for all of our watchers today. Here's Mike
Great.
McMacken.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Doing
Thank you for
great,
joining
thank you.
us.
Sure.
So, can you tell us a little bit about Camp Courage and how it
Well,
started?
yeah, for a number of years we've had children visit here who were deaf or blind or had other um, disabilities. And when they come here, they just love Ivy Green, and they say, wish I could stay here a week or whatever. And their parents have written us letters about how much it meant to them. So I think in the back of our minds, the idea was there to do something like this. But our board primarily has been a board to oversee the operation of the shrine here. And we haven't really done many proactive type activities other than the production of the Miracle Worker. So about a little over a year ago, our local state representative, Johnny McMorrow, whose wife is an optometrist, was in Chicago at the American Optometric Association National Convention. And he was having a conversation with Dr. Kenji Hamada, who is an optometrist involved in that organization. And Representative Morrow was telling him about being from Tuscany, the birthplace of Helen Keller. Of course, Helen Keller was extremely popular in Japan, and Dr. Hamada was very interested in that. And so they started discussing things, and I think it was Dr. Hamada who had the suggestion, would it be nice to have some kind of a camp for children who had some of these disabilities. So Representative Marr and his wife came back and met with our board and said, we've just been to this meeting and talked with Dr. Hamada, and we think this would be a great idea. Well, that's a pretty good charge for a local board of volunteers like ours. And I said, what did you have in mind? And he said, well, just kind of recreate Helen Keller. Well, that's a pretty good task. There was only one Helen Keller. So I was a little, I liked the idea, but didn't know how to put it in place. And but he'd been good to us, and so I said, well, let us talk about it. So we appointed a committee of local citizens, some professionals who worked with children in different areas. And they actually got this camp together and put it together in a couple of months. And last year we had our first camp with 10 children who were either deaf or blind. And it was just so successful that we decided to make it an ongoing program. So this is our second camp this year. We have 11 children from throughout the state of Alabama. And it's just been a wonderful experience so far. Their parents come with them. Most of the activities the children do as a group, and the parents are not involved, and we actually have sessions for the parents. We had one this morning with Dr. Hulsey, who's on our committee, who's with the University of North Alabama, and works with special children, and one of her professors there, who met with the parents and talked about some of the common difficulties that they face as parents, getting assistance for their children, particularly in the school setting and all. So it was a great session, and that's something that we will build on, I think.
That sounds like a great experience for the parents and the children alike. And I was talking with Darren earlier, I think either this summer, talking about that the children, as part of the camp, they get, guess, some exclusive access that maybe the general public doesn't get because they're part of the program and part of the camp. Can you tell us a little bit about
that? That's correct, and you've seen the production of The Miracle Worker and the famous scene in the dining room where Helen is throwing food and doing different things, and we have given these children access to the dining room in the house. We had a dinner last night. The children actually ate in the dining room where Helen ate, and I think that was a real treat for them and a real good experience that people through the years have not had an opportunity to partake of. So that's one of the things that we do. And then, of course, we're doing sensory type activities here with pottery, with candle making, with looking at the different foliages here and talking about some of those things. So, our goal, number one, this is a camp for children. It is supported financially by donations. We have a partnership with the American Optometric Association, the University of North Alabama, our legislators, a number of people. And so when they come to this camp, they come totally free. Everything's paid for, the hotels, the food, all the activities, all the gifts they get. And it's kind of a unique experience, but they're really excited. They come in not knowing each other at all, and it only takes a couple of hours that they've bonded and really begin to operate as a special group.
That sounds just, it's amazing the power of bringing people together with that shared knowledge and experience, and how that can bond them so quickly. It's just one of the interesting things that storytelling, passing on the stories, paying homage to for mothers and fathers, and how that just kind of brings all those great things together.
Right, and our goal for the children is that when they leave this camp, they will leave knowing that other people think that they're very special. We encourage them to develop their talents, to perhaps be a little more aggressive as they deal with situations in the world and to believe in themselves. We do not operate with negatives here. Everything is positive. So it's a win-win for everybody involved, including our sponsors and all the volunteers that are here. The University of North Alabama furnishes some of their students to work with these children, and they all want to come back the next year. I mean, it's such a wonderful experience for them, and for those people who haven't been around people with disabilities, children or adults, it's hard to understand sometimes the things that they encounter every day and how they overcome those obstacles. And so the more we can educate the public, which we're trying to do as well, the more we'll have an appreciation for the talents of every person and where every person is treated as an individual.
So what are some of the other activities that when get my train of thought. So they spend some time in the dining room there. What's kind of the plan for the rest of the weekend for the students and the parents?
Okay, well, tonight they'll be going to a luau, which will be a
Oh,
lot of
fun.
fun, I think. And then tomorrow morning they'll get up early. They'll actually go fishing. We have a world famous fisherman, Tim Horton, who's in the Bassmasters Hall of Fame, who's a local resident, and Tim has furnished his fishing gear for these children, totally outfitted them. One of the local high schools, Muscle Shoals High School, has a fishing team, and so they send their fishing team, and they take the children out in boats, and they actually go fishing for a couple of hours. So that'll be an exciting event for them in the morning. And then they go down to Representative Morrow has a lot of acreage in Red Bay, which is an adjoining county in Franklin County, and they'll ride on military vehicles, and they'll see a lot of crafts such as, they have storytelling, gristmill, just a number of things that they probably wouldn't encounter in most of their lives. And then we'll come back tomorrow night, Saturday night, a banquet, a dress-up banquet, and they'll receive certificates and trophies and things, and that's always a extremely emotional experience for everybody there.
That sounds like they have a great week planned, and it's amazing that all those elements have come together, because I just appreciate the commitment that your board and the others involved have been able to pull all those great things together.
Yeah, well,
Great experience.
it's volunteers that do it all, and so we're thankful to live in a community that has a lot of volunteers. And I think we have one of the parents here.
That would be great.
Oh, I'm sorry, he had to leave with the kids. I'm sorry, we had one of the parents here. I was going to let him talk a little bit about it, but one of the interesting things this morning as I sat in the meeting with the parents was to listen to the story of each child and listen to what they've had to go through already at a young age in schools, and how some schools are extremely helpful and receptive and forthcoming, and some feel the pinch of the dollar and get by, with as little as they can, and that's probably the way it is everywhere, I guess. But it just magnifies the need for us to do what we can in bringing these groups together and let them know that, hey, these kids are extremely bright. They just need an opportunity.
Sounds great. You all had another person to join us, I believe. Darren's daughter played Helen.
Yes, okay. Let me get.
That'd be great.
Yeah, hang on a second. Okay.
All right.
Well, welcome back, Darren. And
Yes.
It's so, and we have another guest. Is our other guest available?
We do. My daughter, who played Helen when you were here this summer. So last night we did something that was really, really cool. So the campers, they were all gathered in front of the Helen Keller home, and the carriage, the actual carriage that Ann Sullivan rode from the train station a mile away, to Ivy Green. We have that carriage,
Oh.
and our actress who played Anne that you saw this summer,
Mm-hmm.
and Kate Keller, they actually made that historic journey and came into the birthplace, and the campers were all out front, and we reenacted the moment where Anne Sullivan and Helen Keller met for the very first time. Now, as we all know in the play, if you're a fan of the play, we know that the way William Gibson constructed the play, we really don't see Annie and Helen bond completely with love until the very end. That's part of the arc that Helen and Annie both go through during the show. But in actuality, in Annie's writing, she wrote that when she was walking down that front walk and she saw Helen standing on the porch holding onto that post, she said, I knew from the moment I laid eyes on her that our two souls would never be apart. So already she knew this was something very profound. So we reenacted that last night. And then I took the group on a tour around the side of the house. And you remember when you were here, the movies always depict the little house where Annie and Helen spent those 2 weeks as being so far away. It's literally, I think, 22 feet from the house. It's really, really close. So I showed them that, and where that's where Helen was born. She was born in that little house, little garden house. And then we went around back to the actual pump that the historic moment happened at, and we reenacted that moment where Helen had the breakthrough, where she broke through that world of silence and darkness and understood that the letters being spelled into her hand meant a word and so forth. So it was pretty amazing. And as Mike was telling you, last year when they told me that we were going to have dinner in the home and that 80 people were going to sit down to a full dinner in the home, I really thought they'd lost their minds, because it's a museum. I mean, no one's really eaten in the Keller dining room since the Kellers back in the early 1900s until they owned the property, and then it kind of fell into disrepair. But so it was pretty amazing to be able to sit in the home and eat, and you're sitting in a museum, doing this dinner. So it was really cool, really cool. Yeah. So I have Evie Rosa here. Evie Rosa is my daughter, and she's 9. She's in the 4th grade, and she played Helen this past summer. And so she's been here at Camp Courage. And in fact, this afternoon, and this is why the parent that was here had to duck away, they're on their way back to get ready for their evening activities, but we just did the pump scene again, and this time we let the children, the campers, got to come up and touch the pump, and it kind of experienced that whole miracle sort of thing. So I'm going to put Evie Rosa on here and let her tell you a little bit about playing Helen. So ask her good questions.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Evie Rosa. I'm Nick. If you remember, you probably remember my bouncy son Santino, who wanted the pictures with all of you. And I will share the pictures with your dad later today or this weekend, so you can remember. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Great. So, the way your dad was describing, you and the woman who played Anne, I believe, got to reenact some really special moments of Helen Keller's life for the campers. Can you kind of tell us what that was like?
Yeah. Well, just like performing it was like to the campers, and then they're like, wow, this actually happened in the play. It's just, and to see them like, well, not while I was performing, but to see them, it's just like, wow, this is the main house. Like, this actually happened here, exactly where they're doing it.
And
So,
you got to perform really close to where those events happened, and then you got to reenact where the actual events happened, which is, I know, a very special thing.
yeah.
Can you share some of the comments that the campers said after watching the performance, and when they got to do it with you all?
Well, one of the first things they said was good job, and like, I don't, let's see, I don't really remember everything. Like I went around after dinner and talked to them, but
Mm-hmm.
like it was like talking about like wow, you guys, it was really really cool. But um, I'll ask them, and I'm like, there was this little girl, and she's deaf, and like she like I was showing her my name sign and stuff, and she was like, yeah, and she kept like smiling and stuff, and I like kind of looks like she's like, wow, how do you do this? And there was this one girl, and she said, I wish I could be an actress like you. So that made me feel really good.
That was very sweet. Um, it's got to be definitely. You spent some time playing Helen. What was kind? What are your main memories, or how's that make you think about what Helen went through?
It's actually really cool because now, like, I was learning about Helen and watching people do it, and like me wanting to do it so bad, and then just one day I found out, like, wow, I'm gonna be Helen, and then I just couldn't believe it, and like, it was just because like I get to know this is what Helen went through. She was this tough. She could do all of this, and I'm doing it for these all. Have a vision of what she actually did, and that's just amazing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed your performance this summer, and
Thank you.
it sounds like they enjoyed it there, because you brought a real nice balance to it, if that makes sense. Because sometimes I think people can go to the extreme when playing Helen and the Miracle Worker, and I think you brought a nice balance to it. Um,
Thank you.
what were some of what did so you got to go to the dinner last night?
Yeah.
So what was that like? Because I know you've probably grown up around that, but that place has probably been fairly um, closed off. So what was it like eating dinner there?
Well, I had it last year,
Uh-huh.
with my dad, and like I kind of got a visual of what the Helen last year was doing, but like, because I go to it like all the time, it's my favorite place like in the whole world actually.
Great.
And it was like, wow. The first time last year I got to eating it, like I got to touch Annie's bed and Helen's bed, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, this is so cool. And especially playing Helen and everyone looking at me and calling me Helen, eating dinner there, literally where Helen ate dinner, then that was just awesome and amazing.
That's just great. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners about
Um,
the experience?
Well, it's really, really cool to do because you get to watch people from all over the world watch you, and it's like you get like tons of great jobs and good jobs. But I know that like I actually well, not expired, but inspired these people. That Helen Keller was actually like this, and it was just she's doing this and inspire these people that they can do something like this and show the world that this is what people did. So
It was great chatting with you.
sorry,
And
this is my first interview. I'm like,
no, you're fine. You did great. If you want to put your dad back on, and I thank you again for joining us and sharing with our audience. It's really inspiring what
thank you,
you've been able to do and share with all the people that got to see it this summer and at the camp.
thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome back. Thanks again for joining us. We just had a little bit of technical difficulty, but we're back and ready and raring to go. I just finished talking with Darren's daughter, who played Helen, Evie Rosa, and just wanted to say to him, how lucky he is to have such a well-poised and graceful and well-spoken young lady.
Oh,
And at
thank
time.
you.
Maybe one day my son will get there. I'm hoping, it'd be nice if it was 9, but I think it's going to be more like 21. But she shared some really nice insights and how she enjoys sharing what she's learned and the path that Helen took and giving people a way of coming into that. So just wanted to thank you again for connecting with me. It was great to be able to make it to Ivy Green and to see the show.
And we're so glad you made it. Yeah.
Interesting how the world works in its ways. My wife switched jobs this summer, and she is now working for the Missouri School for the Blind.
Oh, wow.
Which she is enjoying immensely and has a great time, and she's, I want to say, 3 or 4 weeks in. And so, of course, there they have the Helen Keller quote. That's a part of the building, and so while you were describing the occurrences happening at the camp, I was like, "Yep, why?" They have I want to say 26 students, and it's a residential school, so they come.
Right.
They're there Sunday through Friday morning, or Sunday night through Friday morning, and then they head home for the weekend. So, you have that. They're able to really get that specialized learning, but you also have to learn how to live at a boarding school on top of everything else. And so it's just, she has a great group of kids, and they have a nice transition program too there also, where like from when they're 18 to 21, then they're going to college and then still living at the school, and they still help them with transition and preparing them for the world out there.
Right, that's fantastic.
So it just was interesting, that all of a sudden we saw that job pop up, and I was like, okay, well, this should be something interesting. And it was funny because she's a family and consumer science teacher, and that's what the position was for.
Oh, wow.
And had just finished taking her test for to be a special ed teacher too, and just interesting how the world works in its mysterious way.
Yes, it is.
Was there anything else you wanted to share with our listeners about what's happening this week?
This is, we know it's The Miracle Worker is such a popular play that's produced all around the world, and as those that are out there doing it, we hope they'll reach out to people in their community the same way Camp Courage reaches out, because Helen Keller just continues in depth to touch everyone's lives, and she is such a hero to so many people. So I hope that people who are doing the play will reach out to folks in their community and make them a part of it, because she's a quite inspiration.
Yeah, I appreciate all the work, and on behalf of those who are able to watch this and who are doing The Miracle Worker, one of the teachers in my district is doing it this year.
Oh, that's fantastic. Great.
So I cut and paste our thing and gave him your contact info. So
oh, sure, absolutely.
May be getting an email or a phone call. Who knows?
Well, Nick, I love to do that. During the year, I probably get 30 or 40 or more, either teachers or community theater directors who are doing the show, who just want to pick my brain about things. I was like in the last webcast we did. I feel like I'm one of the most blessed directors in the world that. I had that time with William Gibson and Arthur Penn to kind of really dissect the script and they had a chance to look at what we were doing, and to have that critique from them was just invaluable to me. And it helped me to make the show better here. And I'm always happy to share that with anyone who would like that information. So glad to do that anytime.
Well, great. It was great to touch base and see how you're doing. I think it's awesome, all the work that the foundation is doing, the board, and what you're doing, and I think it's great that you're able to bring those kids together. So keep on doing the fighting the good fight.
Well, thank you. Yes. Thank you so much for letting us be a part of your program.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Want to remind our listeners to be sure to check out all the great things that are coming. I apologize for the slight delay with the start of school. It's been just kind of start the floor running and just haven't had time to catch my breath. But a lot of good things coming our way. So just pay attention. Don't forget to check out Outreach on Twitter, and we will see you soon. Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
again so much. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.